I have compiled a ton of tips and tricks for using a large OLED TV like the one back here as your monitor so you can look like a pro who actually needs that much screen real estate versus somebody who buys big things simply to compensate, well, for other things. My name's Dan. Welcome to Ahnestly. As always, links to everything will be down in the description below. Please use them as it really helps this channel a lot. And if you like tech, chairs, and desk setups, make sure you get subscribed for more content. If you're debating about buying a large OLED TV as your monitor, these are some things to consider. Now, if you've already purchased one, you can skip this part and you can jump to this timestamp here. The first thing to consider is whether or not you actually have the space. I own two 48-inch LG OLEDs, one here in the studio, this is the C1, and the one I showcased in a previous video, that is the C10. And out of the two desks that I own, the one at home is the shallower desk at about 29.5 inches deep. And when I measured my eye distance from my monitor, when I take a tape measure and kind of measure like this from my eyes to the screen, it measures a minimum distance of 34 inches. Now, I think that distance is perfect because it does two things. One, it puts you far back enough that you're not feeling nauseous and your eyes aren't being strained when watching movies or playing games, because trust me, if you're too close, you can feel a little sick. And then two is that it puts you at a perfect distance where you can see the entire monitor without having to drastically turn your head to see the left and right, while at the same time being close enough so you don't have to squint every time you're trying to read text on the screen, because you will be sitting back further from that monitor than you would on an average smaller monitor. You might be thinking, well, my desk is 30 inches deep just like his, so I should be fine. But all these OLED TVs come with a substantial base in terms of its size. The LG 48-inch TVs come with a base that's 10 inches deep, and a lot of those inches are hanging off the back. And so if you put that entire base on your desk, you're not gonna have 34 inches eye distance. So the way that I've done it is that I've got a substantial amount of space between the back edge of my desk and the wall, and I hang the TV pretty much off of there. And so you need to be okay with that. You need to be okay having some distance of your desk off the wall, or have a desk that's 34 to 35 inches deep. Now, I know that some desks lose stability when you take them off the wall, so that's something to consider. And as a matter of fact, you need to be careful that, for example, if you use a standing desk like me, well, I forgot that the back part was touching the wall, and when I went to raise the desk, it scratched a whole ton of paint off of the wall. There is a workaround, so you don't have to have anything hanging off the back of your desk. You can get a monitor arm, but they tend to be quite expensive, and I'll talk about them a little later in the video. It goes without saying that these things are wide. So for reference, here's what the 48-inch looks like on a 61-inch wide desk, and then on my studio desk, which is 71 inches wide. The next thing to consider is, do you have a graphics card that can support HDMI 2.1? Because this is a TV, not a monitor, so it only has HDMI 2.1 ports, not USB-C and not DisplayPort. Now, you can still use this thing, use a large TV as a monitor for your older graphics cards or for Mac or MacBook devices, but you're not gonna be able to access all the features that you're essentially paid for when you buy one of these. I will say this though, you're going to have a much more pleasant experience using this with a Windows device compared to an Apple device, and I'll explain why as we go along. If you plan on using a webcam for video conferencing, just keep in mind that with a regular monitor, which is just shooting straight, you probably just have to clean the counters behind you, but because the monitor or the TV is so big, the webcam is gonna be shooting straight down, so you probably have to clean your floors as well. And also, if you plan on using a webcam for Windows Hello unlocking, you're always gonna have to lean in because the camera won't be able to read your face with the distance that you're gonna need from this monitor. Hello people who skipped ahead, we're gonna be talking about monitor arms. Now, if you stuck around the beginning, you know that we were talking about the depth of desk that you would need and how sometimes that TV base is so big that you might have to hang it off the back of your desk to give you enough width away from your screen or depth away from your screen. Well, getting a monitor arm pretty much undoes all of that. And there are two options that I know of that can hold a monitor or TV this big, and it is the Ergotron HX, which is a $330, $370 monitor arm, and the AVLT 13 to 49-inch monitor arm, which is about $200. But that one is always sold out. Unfortunately, it goes like that as soon as it comes in stock, and it's a real shame because it's got two USB pass-throughs, which are really useful. Now, in addition to getting the screen further back and not needing to get your desk as far back off the back wall, you also get the additional real estate under your monitor to be able to tuck things in. I have a second one that I plan to do with this screen here, but it's definitely a two-person job, and I am only one, and a half person's. If you plan on using a monitor arm, you're going to need a VESA adapter. Again, I'll link a good one down below. And this is because the TVs use a weird VESA pattern and none of the monitor arms have that pattern by default. Now we're getting into software and tweaks. And first we'll start with stuff that applies to all the OLED TVs, and then we'll talk about LG OLED TV specific tweaks and software. And these LG specific tweaks and software are really cool because it transforms your experience. It makes you go, oh, I'm clearly using a TV as a monitor, to saying, oh wow, this actually feels like a monitor. It's really cool. Make sure you stick around. And in case you're wondering, why do you only have LG tips? It's because, well, I have 2 LG OLED TVs, and 2 because the LG OLED TV as a monitor thing has been around far longer, and so the community has had more time to develop tweaks for them. The first thing to consider, and again, this applies to all the OLED TVs, is a program called FancyZones by Microsoft Power Toys. Now, Windows by default has a pretty decent Windows manager. You get the 4 corners, but with a screen this big, what if you want 3 zones instead? What if you want 9 zones? Well, you can't really do that. But with FancyZones, you can, and you can customize it to your heart's content. And what's really cool is that there's a feature called like use alternate click to activate, something like that. I'll have it on the screen, where if you drag a window and then you click any other mouse button, well, it'll show up all the zones, and then you can drag and drop it wherever you want to snap to that allocated space. And it's really cool because then it's keyboardless. FancyZones only works on Windows, but Mac users have 3 options. You can get a free option called Rectangle, or you can get 2 paid versions. One is called Magnets and one is called Moon. I unfortunately don't really use these programs, so it might be worth doing some research to find out what's the best for you. Number 2 is a program called MacType. Now, having a TV this big and this far away from you means that you need the sharpest text, and that's what MacType does. It's called MacType because MacBooks have sharper text than on Windows, and so it enhances your text and makes it even crisper. Now, for me personally, I didn't see a huge difference, but some people swear by it, and the tool is totally free and really easy to install, so it might be worth checking out. From here on are going to be the LG OLED TV specific programs and tweaks, and these will totally transform your experience. They're really amazing. The first tweak is disabling auto dimming. Now, all OLED TVs have auto dimming built in because it prevents burn-in, but it's really annoying when using it as a monitor because as you're typing something, the screen will just get dark and it'll stay there for a few seconds before kicking back out, and just really, really annoying. Now, you do need to proceed with caution here because this can void your warranty, and if you click something by accident or you start messing around the menu, you can brick your TV. So again, please proceed with caution. I've disabled auto dimming on both of my TVs, and the one I have at home, it's about 2 years old now. There hasn't been any burn-in or retention, but again, proceed at your own risk. Now, what you're gonna need is an LG service remote that looks like this, and you're gonna go ahead and hit a button, and then you're gonna type in the code 0413. And then you're gonna go to the OLED menu item, and in there you should see a TPC and a GSR. You're gonna disable TPC and you're gonna turn GSR to off. And then after that, just exit the menu, don't touch anything else. And I would say test your TV and see if auto dimming still happens. For some TVs, like on my C10, that was all I needed. But on the C1 that I have here, auto dimming kept happening. And a follower of mine reached out to me and said, hey, how do you disable this? And him and I worked together, and we found out that you have to do one more step to get rid of the auto dimming, and that is to change your input type. To do this, you're gonna hit and hold the input button on your LG TV remote. And once the input screen comes up, you're gonna go up to the top right, hit the 3 buttons, and then hit edit. And then you're gonna see all your inputs show up. Find the one that your PC is hooked up to, click that, and change the icon to PC. Now, this does change some settings from the cable connection. I'm not gonna pretend like I understand all the intricacies of it, but it should lower your brightness a little bit, and this, in conjunction with turning the things off in the service menu with the service remote, should disable auto dimming permanently. Next up is a program called LGTVCompanion, and it is freaking amazing. You see, because these things are TVs, when you turn your PC on, the TV doesn't turn on. It's just like, hey, I'm a TV, I'm gonna stay off. You know, like a regular monitor would detect the signal, kick on, and when you turn your PC off, it would detect that, hey, there's no more signal, and it would go into sleep mode. Well, the TV doesn't do that. But with LGTVCompanion, now it does, and this is totally free. The developers did a really good job giving you step-by-step instructions, but you will need an intermediate knowledge of how to access your router and set a static IP. It's not that difficult, it's definitely Googleable. The best way to do it is type in the brand of your router and then static DHCP, and I promise one of the first few results will tell you how to do that, and then the rest of it is pretty simple. And make sure you guys donate to these developers because again, these apps are free. Speaking of which, I'm gonna donate to them right now. LG TV Companion is Windows only. There is no Mac version. Again, reinforcing this idea that these TVs, your experience with them is just gonna be a lot better on a Windows device. The next tweak is screen off mode. Again, because this is a TV and not a monitor, if that TV or that screen turns off, all the audio that you're playing, let's say on Spotify, through the TV speakers or through speakers that were hooked up to the TV because you want to take advantage of all that fancy schmancy audio stuff, will go with it. Now, if your speakers are hooked up directly to your PC or via Bluetooth, then you're fine. But you can get around this because you want to prevent burn-in, right? You want to be able to save power. Well, to do this, you have to enable screen off. And the way you do this is you go into settings, then you go down and then you hit edit, and you're gonna remove one of these screen options in order to have space. And then you're going to hit add, and then you're gonna add a button called screen off. And I would prefer to put it all the way at the top. And now, if I ever want to listen to music, even when the screen is off, what I can do is you can hit the setting button, and that first option should be screen off. You can click it, and then your screen will turn off, but music will continue to play either through the TV speakers or through the speakers hooked up to the TV. To wake up the screen, you hit any button on your remote except for the volume buttons and the power button. To get your monitor to start up faster and use it quicker as a monitor, you can disable the startup logo and get rid of all the annoying home app launch things that show up every time you turn your TV on. To disable the startup logo, you're gonna hit the mute button 3 times, and then you're gonna see the option to disable the startup logo. And then to get rid of the home menu or those home apps that pop up, you're gonna go into settings, general, then system, then additional settings, then home settings, and then disable home auto launch. Now in every TV, this is gonna be slightly different, but essentially you wanna look for the additional settings and then find the home auto launch and disable it there. And finally, if you have multiple inputs, you can switch between them very quickly by assigning them a quick access button. To set this up, you're gonna take your remote and hold 0, and then a quick access menu is going to pop up. Here, you can assign every number a different input, and then from now on with your remote, if you hold that number, then it's gonna jump immediately to that input so that you can quick switchly between them. If you're a Mac user, I own an M1 14-inch MacBook Pro, and I tried using it with this thing and I got incredibly frustrated. But if you have any tips and tricks for me, please let me know down in the comments below. Again, I really was excited, but was really disappointed. And here are some of the issues that I ran into. The first thing is that all Macs in existence, at least as of September 2022, cannot utilize the entire 4K resolution at 120 Hz refresh rate. You can do 4K 60 Hz, but not 120 Hz. And even though technically it should be possible, I've tried a ton of different cable combinations and I've read a ton of people's feedback, it's just not gonna work. The second issue that I ran into was that when I plugged my MacBook into the monitor, the text was it was awful. Like, it was so blurry and I could not read it. But I figured out how to get around that. What you have to do is you have to go into the LG TV menu, you have to change the input type to PC, and that seemed to fix things. But then I ran into another issue, and that was, and this is more of an issue with the TV, is that when I unplugged my MacBook from it, and that's the whole point of a MacBook, right? You want to be able to go on the go. Whenever I unplugged it, the input type would change back to its default, which means every time I plug it in, I had to change the input type, and I was like, no, this is dumb. I'm not doing this. Maybe if you have like a Mac Studio or whatever, you can do that, but with a MacBook Pro, All right, everybody, like, share, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments below if this video was helpful. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, stay honest.